Welcome to a scorching African bushveld. It's supposed to be winter, but it is 35 degrees Celsius, about 95 Fahrenheit, and we're in search of lions and leopards. This is Safari Live.
Ready. Standing by.
Five, 4, 3, 2, 1. You are live, you are live.
Welcome to Djuma Private Game Reserve. My name is Brent, and I have Zander on camera with me today on this very toasty winter's afternoon here on Djuma Private Game Reserve. Now, very exciting. I did mention on the Sunrise Drive that we have a good friend of mine trying out to be a presenter. Her name is Ali, and she's got Dave, Dangerous Dave, the objectified dish, who's back from extended vacation. So good to have him back. Viam's taking a few days. And then in final control, we have Kirsten and Louise, or Kirsten and Rebecca. Well, I'm sure they're all just fluttering about there like final control ladies do. But on the Sunrise Safari, James had that fantastic sighting of the Nkuhumas with 2 Birminghams on a buffalo kill. Now, we had tracks of a male and female leopard that disappeared into this thick stuff behind me. I'm coming to see if they've come out during the day. If not, I still have a sneaky suspicion that there's 2 other Birmingham boys on another buffalo kill a little bit closer to the Djuma Dam. But we're going to go have a look there. But it is great to have you with us. Remember, Live African Safari, questions, hashtag Safari Live on Twitter, and email us questions at wildearth.tv. Let's get going. Now, these really hot afternoons make me wonder, is winter over? Has summer started early? It's going to be a very interesting summer if it's starting this early. We are suffering from the worst drought since 1993. So these high temperatures and dry days could lead to the drought being extended. And there's been a lot of betting around when the first rains are going to come. And I seem to be the most pessimistic. When we say first rains, we mean at least 20 millimeters. And I say it's only going to be deep into November. But if the drought continues, now a drought is one of those double-edged swords. In some ways, it's actually very good for the bush. The elephants come in, remove a lot of the smaller stuff that's been growing over the last 10-year wet period, creates lots of homes for insects and things like that. It makes more space for grass to grow, which increases grazer numbers like wildebeest and zebra and buffalo in the long run. So often we tend to look very short term on these type of things, but in the long run, a drought can actually be a very good thing for an area. It also brings certain species numbers down. There might have been too many of those species. And nature is an incredible thing because it balances itself out between flood, famine, and drought. And of course, a drought is a time of plenty for the lions, leopards, hyenas, wild dogs, and cheetah. But it is a time of trial and tribulation for the zebras, buffaloes, giraffes, elephants. But we have gone through a really wet last 10 years where it's been easy pickings for the grazing species, lush grass and trees all around. And the predators numbers would have declined in that. So now it's time for the predator numbers to come up, and afterwards it will be status quo. That's the wonderful thing about nature. It's always able to sort itself out. Kim is wondering what is the hottest it's ever got here. I'm not sure. I think we got to 44 last year, or this year. Maybe Final Control can remember. But I like the hot weather. I don't mind being hot. I much prefer sitting at 100 Fahrenheit than I do at 50 Fahrenheit. So there's still no sign of these tracks coming out. It's unlikely that these leopards are going to be moving too much, particularly on a day as hot as today. But you never know, and it's always worth having a look. Now, let's go meet Ali, who's with the incredible Nkahuma Pride.
Hello and welcome everyone. We're spending some time here with the Nkahumas, their cubs, and one of the Birmingham boys. My name is Ali. Nice to meet you all. And I'm here doing my very first interview drive with you guys. So I am a bit nervous at the moment. So you can probably notice it by the shaking of my voice. Do not tell Brent because he will tease me non-stop. Anyway, he decided to be a gentleman and a good friend, and he allowed me to come here and have a look at this wonderful cubs in this pride, who this morning, I believe, they managed to knock down a fully grown buffalo. So they're all now just lying in the shade. It is quite hot this afternoon. Doesn't feel like winter is here anymore. And they're busy now all resting in the shade. As you can see, you can only just feel a bit sorry for them. They are very well fed, but they're all busy panting. They're breathing very, very quickly, and this is because they are very, very hot, despite the fact that they are in the shade. So if you see the stomach of all the females, even that one that's just busy feeding the cubs, she's also breathing very, very quickly. So while we've been here, they've been moving around, going onto areas where the sand is a bit cooler, just in an attempt to wait for the sun go down to then possibly go and feed on the buffalo again. It would seem by my count that all 8 cubs are around here. This is only the second time that I've actually managed to see them, and it's good to see that they're all still doing very well and all still around. I do think they are the prettiest lion cubs I've seen in a very long time. I have only seen the Styx cubs recently, but this ones look by far better fed and very fluffy and very cute. I mean, look at those tiny little faces. Seems like the little cubs, it seems like they are just a bit more energetic than the adults, just moving around. They've been getting up and trying to suckle from different females at the same time. So 3 of them, maybe now just 2 of them are busy feeding. And the rest of them are either playing with little twigs or also just trying to cool down and just not be as hot. It does seem like the cuddles are a bit too much in this weather. Some of you are asking about my accent. It is a very big combination of things. So I am originally from South America, where we learn the American English, or we learn English with the American accent. However, I've been living in South Africa for about 5.5 years now, so I've also picked up a bit of the accent. So I don't know, it's a bit of a combination. So you guys can tell me what do I sound like, because in my head it's all in English and I am a native Spanish speaker, so it's all very new to me. Sounds very different in my head. So that is where I'm from. Came all the way just to be able to appreciate things like the one that we're viewing at the moment and just enjoy the general beauty that Africa has to offer. Hi, Carrie. You're asking how I know Brent. Well, I also work in the Sabi Sand. I work in the northern area, and I met Brent and Jamie and all of the Wild Earth team just a few months ago. Well, almost a year now, actually, when I first started working in this area. So we became very good friends. Me and Jamie actually joke around that my partner Tristan and Brent are each other's boyfriends because they have a bit of a bromance going on. So we obviously then became very good friends, being very interested in the wildlife, all of us being guides and just enjoying this general thing. So yeah, that's how I met him just about a year ago, and we've been friends since. Seems like the little ones at the back are a bit more active and just enjoying chewing. It would seem like a little piece of branch or a piece of twig that they had earlier on. Maybe they're just giving up on their little oh no. Just as you say, there's always somebody that's got to prove you wrong. I think he's just not. Yeah, he is a bit more energetic. I don't think he wants to take the general nap as the rest of the pride. But they keep moving around, going on enough. When we first arrived, like I said, one of the females was actually busy chasing the vultures that are coming down on the carcass because they've been spotting it. But I think she just sprinted there and then came running straight back to the shade because it's still a bit too hot to be feeding on the buffalo or just to be in the sun in general, especially for the lions. The little ones have been... Okay, seems like we're gonna go back to Brent, who's got something else on his side, so we're gonna see what he's got.
I've got a wonderful bumpy road in front of me. So I'm not going to spend too much time. I can see that the leopards haven't come out of that area. Herbie's going to be out a little bit later when it's cooler. So he's going to be able to traipse around and hopefully find those leopards for us. Now, what really fascinated me this morning was all the vultures around the aptly named Vulture's Nest Road. So I'm going to go have a look, see if we can still see the vultures. If we can still see the vultures, my little theory that the Birmingham boys that are missing from the Nkuhumas might have another buffalo kill in here. With all the pandemonium that was going on last night, it's quite possible, because I had lions right up against our fence. Zander, was that your first male lion close to the house? Zander tells me this morning, no man, it sounded like the lion was in our garden. So literally our windows were vibrating. So from my bedroom and Zander's bedroom's next to mine, the tracks those male lions were about 15 meters. And they were roaring but non-stop. Oh, hello. It's Gerald. Let's try find a gap through the trees. Maybe a bit further forward, I think, is going to be better. Well, it looks like he's on the move anyway. Let's get around. Is it just one? Looks to be a single giraffe. There we go. There's a little gap. Almost. Oh, too far. There we go. Gerald is brunching on a baby baby jack. Oh, blah, 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 a baby leadwood tree. Yes, aren't you, Gerald? I think a big adult male giraffe. Oh, let's try again. I think there's going to be a better gap. Hi, Haley. Haley is wondering, is it easier to find animals during winter or summer? Well, Haley, winter is a joy. And coupled with the drought makes it even easier. The tracking is magnificent at the moment. But when the green is here, it's very difficult. The roads become quite hard because of the rain. It compacts the soil. And the grass can sometimes be as tall as me. So spotting anything that's not on the road can prove a bit problematic. So it is definitely easier in the dry season and even easier in a drought. What have you spotted, Gerald? Now, giraffe are very good at spotting things. Obviously, their long neck. Now, I wonder what Gerald has spotted off towards Hyena Road. No, not that interesting because he's looked back. So if it had been a predator like a lion or a leopard, his focus would have remained intent on that area. It could be an Inyala, an Impala, a buffalo, could even be another giraffe. Well, we're going to leave Gerald to carry on moving through, but before we leave Gerald, let's see who's grey. Oh, right next to us. just pounced on an insect right next to us. A lilac-breasted roller. What do you got there? Oh, he's got was that a grasshopper or a piece of stick? Oh. Look at those magnificent colors of a lilac-breasted roller. Well, off it flew. But what I was going to say is, now, can you believe Gerald the giraffe, or giraffe, have had an influence on space travel? Okay. Very strange thing to say. So, who out there can tell me what specific thing that is used in space travel and hypersonic travel was developed based off a body part of the giraffe? Who can tell me what item that is used in space travel and supersonic travel was designed off a design that came off a giraffe? If you know that answer, I'll be very impressed. Let me know, questions@wildearth.tv, or use the hashtag SafariLive on Twitter. Now, as most of our viewers know, I am a massive fan of predators. My favorite, of course, being the African wild dog, but I do love all the big cats as well. And I'm extremely jealous of Ali, because I think she's one of the only people I know who has seen a jaguar. That is a very special thing indeed. Now, I do not see any vultures. Do you see any vultures, Zander? This is where they were this morning. Maybe it was a baby buffalo that was scoffed down in quick. But we'll keep checking for tracks and see what else we can find on this beautifully warm winter's evening. In the meantime, I don't want to keep you away from the incredible Nkuhumas who are with Ali.
Hello again. Here we are with two of the females that have raised their heads, and it seems like they're looking at the vultures flying up in the sky. It is a bit too hot, however, for them to even try and move around, so I think this is as much attention as the vultures are going to receive for now. But I just wanted to point out a very cute factor that I noticed while we've been sitting here. I don't know if you can see that cub at the back sleeping with its feet on top of its sibling in a very comfortable way. And then if you look at the male, at the Birmingham male, he's also got his feet on top of the female. So it makes you wonder if really they pick up these things from their parents from a very small age. Or if the one that is sleeping down, because I cannot distinguish from here, is a young little male that's maybe using one of his female sisters or little cousins just as another post. Yeah, we can see here also the female, he's just busy looking around. It seems like there is something that has got her attention. And she's just keeping an eye out because they'll be very protective of their kills and they won't allow any of the other predators around to come in, not even the scavengers like the vultures. It seems, however, that we're going to have a bit of a surprise also joining us here on the side. One of the other males has decided now to move. He was sleeping far away from the rest of the crowd, but he is now finally gotten up and made his way to the rest of the pride. And in the process got a bit tangled with a bunch of branches on the ground. Oh, and he's being very polite, and then hopefully that's not what he thinks of us. Alrighty, well, I can let you guys know that the carnivore dung, or poo if you want to call it, from the lions is, in my opinion, the stinkiest one of them all. So yeah, especially when they've been eating a lot of meat that has been under the sun, like that buffalo over there, it doesn't leave a nice aroma out in the bush. All right. Lucy from Southwest Indiana is asking me what is my favorite animal. I don't have just one, and that is a bit of a problem. My ultimate favorite animal are rhinos, just because I am very biased because I worked in a rehabilitation center with rhinos and they gave me a tiny baby rhino to look after. So after that, I don't think anything else can really compete. But lions are my second favorites. I mean, look at them, these beautiful males with their big, nice manes and those beautiful colored eyes, and then the tiny little cubs. I just find them fascinating, and they are such incredibly strong animals. They, by far, deserve everyone's respect. Yeah. Thank you, Jamie Patterson, for the yay. You promised you weren't going to watch the drive, but it's fine. As long as the lions are around, everything shall be fine. Funny enough, the first or the only drive that Jamie and I have ever shared was watching the Nkuhuma lions. She's the one that brought me to see the tiny little cubs not too long ago, and it's the first time that I had ever seen them. So, yay, thanks, Jamie. It all worked out in the end. Oh, well, hello. Seems like there is something lurking around. Wonder if maybe she's seen one of the vultures that we can't see from here. And she's going to investigate just to make sure what's happening. Ooh, there goes the male as well. And you can see a vulture there, but I think they are a bit too full and maybe a bit too hot to run to the kill. Or maybe the male has got different intentions. All right. I'm just gonna hang on a second and see what they do before we move around the vehicle and possibly disturb the other ones that are still sleeping here. It is funny. It almost looks like this male is looking to mate with her, or maybe even preventing her from getting to the kill. Because he is busy now just marking and just covering, kicking it back with his back legs. Hi Sharon, you want to know how or what got me started into my safari journey. I don't really know, if I can be very honest with you. I came to South Africa initially just because I wanted to volunteer for a little while. I wanted to come to Africa and see the wildlife and experiencing being close to them, because I always had this fascination for Africa. I have no idea why. And then when I got here and started working in the Wildlife Rehabilitation Center, I started hearing about all the different opportunities and all the different things that you can do, or the jobs that you can do to work close to the wildlife. And one of them was obviously becoming a safari guide. And to me, it just seemed like the perfect thing, because I had dealt with animals, wild animals in captivity, and the process to rehabilitate them and put them back in the wild. So I knew everything about the captivity. Well, not everything, but I knew a bit about the captivity, and I wanted to see those same animals doing what they're actually supposed to be doing and in their environment that they're supposed to be being in. So that's pretty much what got me into it. Seems like the lions over there are having a bit of a interesting fight. I think the male was actually preventing the female from getting to the kill, and she growled a bit at him. Even I think maybe there was a paw flick, and he wasn't too impressed about it. Maybe he's just being a greedy old boy and he wants to keep all that buffalo for himself. All right. While we try to figure out what the boy wants with this particular girl. We'll link back to Brent and see what he's got on his side.
So the one thing about this hot weather is it does tend to keep the predators deep in the shade. So what I'm looking for at the moment is I'm hoping for some elephants out and about, and hopefully as it gets a bit cooler, those leopards will start moving and give us a better idea of where to look for them. But I'm still checking, because the one thing you know for certain is that because I say the leopards are not going to move today, they probably walk 10 kilometers during the heat. Of course, it's unusual, but not uncommon. The animals are quite able to disprove the guidebooks on a daily basis. That is the wonderful thing about being out here in the bush, is that it's different every single drive, even if you're in the same area. I also want to go check on the baby lapwing. Well done to Judy H on the giraffe quiz about what piece of an astronaut or a supersonic jet fighter's equipment was designed based off a giraffe, and it is correct, a compression suit or a G suit. Now, what happens is that if you look at a giraffe, being so high and having such long legs, that they've got very, very tight skin on their legs, and that's to stop too much blood going all the way down. So with astronauts and pilots of supersonic planes, that same problem happens because of the G-forces. So they've got a suit on their legs and on their arms or on their whole body that is designed, and it does the exact same thing as a giraffe's skin does on its lower legs. So absolutely incredible that there are so many ways where animals out here have affected modern science. So that whole no design is truly unique. And there's something out there that's probably done it before, and normally it's nature. Now our Djuma Dam Cam aficionados, keep a lookout for ellies for me. I'd love to see some ellies. I feel I haven't had enough time, a nice elephant sighting for a while. I've had a few down on Cheetah Plains, but I feel like a really nice one, just be surrounded by elephants. So keep an eye out for elephants on the Djuma Cam for me. I'm hoping there might be some appearing at Buffelshoek, but I think that water's more like soup. Hi, Aaron in Florida. Aaron is wondering, why don't we see giraffes in groups like we do with Cape Buffalo, or is that just in South Africa? Well, the male giraffe are quite often solitary. Hello, Impalalas. Off you skedaddle. Hiding out in the shade. Don't want to move too fast in this heat. So, Aaron, giraffe do occur in herds. Generally, you'll have herds of females. Males are attached to them from time to time, but it's not uncommon to find male giraffes being solitary. We were on Cheetah Plains a couple of drives ago. We saw 7 giraffe in a group, and the biggest we've seen on Djuma as well was also 7. So I just got to be on the game drive quickly. Afternoon Orbs, just one station with Nkahumas off Aubrey's Road. I'm checking around Buffelshoek Mati at the moment. Just one in Vubuya, and no other updates. Oh dear, he flew. He's got a frog. Now that's, I reckon, the same harrier hawk we saw a few days ago. He's hunting frogs that are stuck in the mud. Copy. Here you go. He actually had a frog. I think we came up from below the dam wall and gave him a fright. Last time we came in from the other side. So he was a bit more, or he knew where we were. There we go. You can see him eating the frog. The frog species he's eating is called a platana, which is the most aquatic of frog species we get here. They don't spend much time on land, and they prefer to spend their whole life in water. Well, that's what a platana looks like going out the other way. Now, we actually watched this harrier hawk kill 3 or 4 a couple of days ago. I'm just going to move a bit forward. Hopefully he flies back down onto the mud. And of course I want to check on the lapwings, see if the baby's still okay. And I came past, no, I didn't come past here this morning, but there's that poor hippo. He's in the mud. That's the only bit of water or moisture he can find at the moment. You can see how he coats himself in mud to protect himself from the sun. So it's very difficult to age a hippo when he's coated in mud like that. It's either an old boy or a young boy. So not dominant enough to dominate the water holes that have got lots of lovely females, and the bigger water holes, so they're pushed off to these peripheries where there's not much water at all. Now when this water dries up, he'll start sleeping in the shade in the little riverbeds to try escape the sun. You want to take a guess how long till the water disappears, Xander? "10 days, I think, and there's not going to be any, it's just going to be mud. Now that harrier hawk looks like he's thinking about coming back. We're not going to disturb him from his meal. We're going to keep on our adventures, seeing what we can find. And from one bird of prey to another with Ali.
Well, it seems like the birds have come out to play. We are looking here at a hooded vulture. That's probably the reason why 2 of these lionesses were looking up early on when we were watching them. Often they will come around and they've got very good eyesight, and I'm sure while it was flying looking around for food, it spotted the carcass and it's just come down to try and feed off the little pieces. However, because the lions are around and they will chase them, then he has realized that the safest spot to be is actually up on the tree where the lions won't really try to get him. So the male and the female that started walking on earlier are now sitting there in a tiny little stretch of shadow while they wait for their next move. It was very interesting behavior, oh bless you, from the male, because I was just talking to Dave, who's on camera today with me, and he also agrees that it seemed a bit funny, like he was actually trying to prevent her from going to the kill. I might be mistaken, but it's always worth exploring another option, as she didn't try approach the kill again. They are a bit more alert now, so it's interesting to see the dynamics that happen on a kill. Sorry, I couldn't catch the name, Kirsty, in Final Control, but one of the questions came through of how yard bird, you're asking how they manage to get the red stains off their face. So lions are very clean animals. A lot of the times they will use their tongue as a brush to try and get rid of all the blood all around their faces. So they'll also start licking their paws and their arms, and then they'll stroke their paws just like a normal house cat does against their face, just to try and remove all the little pieces of meat, of blood, all the dirt, anything that might be around there. But also what they do that is very unique with lions and has a multiple purposes is the fact that they will then go and allogroom. And by this I mean that they will go and start licking each other and trying to help each other up, keep clean, and then just in general maintain a better hygienic condition. So normally they'll feed, and then once they're done, that's when you see them licking their paws, scratching their faces and everything else. It seems like the female has one still there. the other female. Just, I don't know if you can just see it from there. So we had two that came around and started moving while the male and the female were moving around here just to get a bit closer to the kill, which is just to the right of this female. But she is still keeping her head up, just keeping an eye out on that vulture, making sure he doesn't try too much. Hopefully, as the sun goes down and as the temperature cools down, then these ones over here will eventually make their way onto the kill. But it doesn't seem like it's going to happen for now because they're all back on the ground. Hi, Deborah from Ohio. You want to know what happened to the little baby rhino that I was looking after. His name was Bobby, and unfortunately it died. It is a very sad and tragic story. I know I cried a lot, like bawling my eyes out when this happened. But baby rhinos are very susceptible to ulcers, stomach ulcers. They need a very particular milk formula, and they get stressed very easily, so they need to be accompanied all the time. And unfortunately, it happened so that Bobby didn't survive. It was horrible. I was crushed, but then also it just gave me a better appreciation for all of the ones that are still alive. So whenever I see a tiny baby rhino, I can't help but make the rhino noises that they make, because for such a big animal, they make very, very high-pitched noises. And you know, my heart just goes all warm and fuzzy inside when I see them. So yeah, not a happy ending, but it worked out in the end. We'll see. Seems like these guys over here are very settled in all of their positions. The cubs are all lying down, the female's lying down, and then the vulture just trying its luck up there. We'll see. I think he is also playing a game with the lions. Every now and again you'll see he turns his head around, just keeping an eye out on them, seeing if he can maybe try to wangle his way down, go and have a bite, and then hopefully go back up onto the tree before the lions decide that they're not as hot as they are now, and then they'll come chasing him. Oh, okay. So it's been a day of the back. Seems like he has been successful at obtaining some pieces of the meat. Turning around, facing the lioness. I think he's assessing if he can go down. Hi, Helena from Sweden. You would like to know normally how many lions or lionesses there are in a group. There is no right answer for this. It depends very much on the area that they are in, but I would say that the basic structure for a pride is a female or two females together with their cubs. I have seen a variety of prides that have gone from one female and two cubs that actually weren't her cubs, just in the southern part of the Sabi Sand. She's also known as the Charleston female. And I've seen prides of lions of over 20, 22 lions at a time, so you've got quite a big range. Normally what would happen though, if the pride is very big, so if it's 10, 15, 20 lions, they will split up at a time just to be able to get hold of the different resources, because you can imagine if it's a very big pride, it is very hard to find enough food all the time for them to feed on. So at the moment here we've got the 5 lionesses, the Enkahumas, and then we've got 2 males, the 2 Birmingham boys, which gives us a total of 6 fully grown lions. Sorry, 6. And then we've got a bunch of cubs, the 8 cubs. So they've managed to bring down this buffalo last night. It seems like they haven't eaten that much of it yet, but I doubt that they'll be here for more than a day or two. Especially if they leave this carcass here out in the sun. Normally they will try to drag it onto an area where the meat won't rot as fast as it will. But even sometimes if the meat is very rotten and smelling very bad, they will still eat it. All right, while we stay here with this guy, see if anything else happens, if any other heads get up, we'll go back to Brent, see what he's got on his side.
Well, it is so toasty that I'm going to do what all the animals are going to do, and I'm going to head towards a waterhole that is not smelly soup like Buffels Hook. I'm going to go see what's happening around Djuma and Gallagher at the Pans, and hopefully, I'm hoping that while we're making our way towards there, so will some elephants be. Hi, Monique in London. Monique's wondering, how long do I think a hippo can last without water? Well, that depends. Without drinking water, without water to lie in. Now, I know hippos in southern Tanzania that spend their whole dry season out of water, hiding in little gullies, almost just like this one we're about to drive past, where there's big shade, and they are able to last a year or two sometimes without actually being into water. Of course, it's never a full year or two, because when the rains come, there are little puddles around. But without drinking water, they wouldn't last too long. They do need, but the problem is when there's no water, there's no grass. And most animals die of malnutrition rather than thirst, because there's probably always a little bit of water around, but there's no food around that water. And that's what really gets them. I'd probably say with a combination of no water and no decent food, listening to radio there a second, okay. Without water and without decent food, I reckon maybe not more than 2 weeks. Well, no elephants, but it looked to be buffalo and Inyala. Lots and lots of buffalo. Okay. Now, let's just have a look if there's anything hiding in the shade behind. On here. Nope. Doesn't look to be anything there. Now we saw a particularly massive old boy, but the one thing is, the real judge of sort of buffalo health is if you have a look at the breeding herds. I mean, these guys are all really old and retired, and we haven't seen a nice big breeding herd for quite some time. But let's go have a look at these buff. It might not be too long before the hippo decides to join them in here again. Hello, old men. Now, one of my favorite things to do when we find a group of buffalo bulls is to see if there are any yellow-billed oxpeckers on their back. So red-billed oxpeckers, the most common of the oxpecker species we get here. And let's just see. Yeah, no yellow bulls, but lots and lots of red bulls and juveniles. And I know you guys can enjoy these guys on the Djuma Dam Cam as well. And I've just got a report of something really interesting up. Oh, I suppose it is up. It's to the west of us. Now, apparently, the buffalo pushed over the nest cam, so I think there's a few too many buffalo to send Connor down here. He has got big muscles. He might scare the buffalo, but I think he might lose that battle. Oh, hello, warthogs. There's a mother warthog and her 3 little ones. Hello. Very pretty tusks that female's got. Oh, off she goes. Done well to raise 3 babies in a drought with all how much lions and leopards love baby warthogs. Okay, I've heard about something off to the almost due west of us. So I'm going to make my way there. So while we make our way there, let's jump back across to Ali. Hopefully her nerves have calmed and she can enthrall you with some more fascinating stories.
Just another peaceful day in Africa. These cubs, surrounded by their mothers and 2 of the males, they have really very little to worry about other than just passing the heat of the day. Oh, seems like one of them has got their head up. I wonder. Maybe it's a bit of a fly that's bothering him. Maybe, oh, a nice big yawn and those big teeth. Alrighty. Well, it seems like somebody's up. Just like a cat. You see, how similar is that to a house cat? Probably just about the same size. But just a bit naughtier than the rest of them. I think he is, or she, it's either trying to look for a different spot where there isn't so much sun, and possibly while doing that, just trying to see if anybody else is awake trying to play. Ah, well, hello. Seems like the flies have been quite irritating. I have counted over 20 of them around. I don't know if you can see them on the screen on its belly, but they're all flying around there and they're becoming a bit annoying for this poor male. So every now and again, he just flicks his tail, puts his head up, and then, you know, has a very angry look at a tiny little creature that is making its life a bit more difficult. But somebody's got to give some trouble to the king of the jungle, don't they? See, there goes with the flick of the tail, trying to get rid of all of them. And he has got a very scarred face. I had never seen them so up close. I think I have only seen the Birmingham boys once before, and they were pretty much doing the same that they're doing now. As you, or some of you may know, lions tend to sleep quite a bit throughout the day. And now that we're heading into summer and the days are starting to get a lot hotter than what they used to be, well, they're going to be spending more and more time sleeping just to try and not overheat. And just past the heat of the day, and they'll go hunting and patrolling and marking their territory as they move around. Some of the females have moved a bit more. Hi, Tony from Pennsylvania. You would like to know what other countries' animals I would like to go and visit. The list is quite long, unfortunately. I don't know if I'll have enough time or money in my lifetime to go there. But I think the top of my list, and it depends on which side of the world I end up going to, are polar bears. Just especially now in this fantastic heat that we're having. I'm really, really looking forward to one day just being able to go see the polar bears and the Arctic foxes and the seals and everything else up there. I do terribly bad in the cold weather. I suffer greatly because I come from the Caribbean, so I am used to this heat. But those are ones that I would like to see. I would like to go back to my country and see more jaguars because I've only saw once running and it was a very fleeting and passing moment, and I would like to spend some quality time with them as I've done with some of the leopards around here. Tigers, definitely for sure in India. And then just the great one-horned rhino in Nepal. That is also at the top of the list. And then I could go on for a long time, but I think those are the ones that in the next 10 years or so, I hope I'll be able to see. But for now, I'm pretty happy with the lions as well. I mean, look at those tiny, cute little faces. I must say, it is quite the achievement that some of the cubs are still cuddling around and just sleeping on top of one another. Just imagine having this big fur coat, and that's why you're in the shade, and then on top of that, there comes somebody, which is also like an additional gigantic blanket that wants to come and lay on top of you. Yeah, that is a real proof of love right there. All of them panting. All right, while these little ones carry on sleeping, let's just go back to Brent and see what he's got over there.
I'm continuing my search for elephant, but very, very unsuccessfully. And I've hit all my favorite elephant spots. And I was going to head off to a Birmingham boy, but then I decided not to. So there's one Birmingham boy who's sleeping around Zoe's Road, but apparently the visual's 1 out of 5, so we decided to carry on looking for elephants instead. Maybe he'll come join the rest a little later when it's a bit cooler. Maybe he doesn't know that there's a free meal down the road. Okay, so where haven't we checked? We have not checked Sydney's waterhole yet, so let's go there. Temperature doesn't seem to be dropping, does it, Zander? Oh, what track was that? Oh, that's Birmingham boy. Yeah, I think that lion tracks, but there are literally lion tracks absolutely everywhere this morning. They've chased buffalo from the gate to below Djuma. Everywhere you walk in the middle of the bush, there's a lion track with a buffalo track running away. But at least they were successful eventually. Now, for those of you who might be new, remember we are on a live African safari. You've just been watching lions doing what lions do best, which is sleep. But you have been doing it live from the middle of Africa, seeing these incredible animals at the exact same time as we are. And apart from that, if you're not sure and you've heard us answer questions, you too can ask a question, and you can do that by sending us an email to questions@wildearth.tv, or you can use the hashtag Safari Live on Twitter. So we're approaching Sydney's waterhole at the moment. I'm fingers crossed that there are going to be some ellies having a drink around there. Okay, fingers crossed. What is it, Sydney's waterhole? I wouldn't even say no to a striped donkey or a horse wearing pajamas, otherwise known as a zebra. And it's even so warm that we're not actually seeing many birds either. They're doing the Gula flutter. Now, the Gula flutter is a funny little thing, and I'll explain that shortly. There's definitely no elephants because there's heavy machinery at work. Andrew, they are unattended at the moment. I'm making my way. Oh, Dyker. Stand by one. Where'd he go? A very quick Dyker. Oh. Okay. There it disappears. Gone. Very quick little Dyker. You got to be when you're that small living out here, where everything wants to eat you. Andrew, make your way straight there. There are no stations currently within Kumas. There he is, hiding in the shade. Yeah, male duiker, known as a grey duiker, G-R-A-Y, or a Grimm's bush duiker further north in Africa. One of the only antelope species in our area that has been recorded hunting and eating baby ground nesting birds and their eggs. Now, forest duiker species do that quite often. We're going to keep moving on, see what else we can find. And while we do that, let's go see how Ali's bumbling about is going.
Hello again. So we had a report of another male lion somewhere around this area. I'm not too sure where we're going, so Dave is busy trying to direct me so that we don't get lost and end up in Kruger. But in the meantime, let's see, you said left, right?
Yep.
So we're going left to see what else there is and what else we might come around. We probably will try to head back to those cubs a bit later once it's a bit cooler, see if they're moving around, possibly even coming to feed on the kill. And I just think Brent just really wants to go and see them again because he really likes lion cubs despite everything that he says. So we'll see what we can find on our way there. It is quite nice though to be driving around a little bit, I'm sure Dave agrees, and just get a bit of breeze. Right. Alrighty. Okay, it seems like it is slightly too hot for pretty much anything but the birds to be moving around. But let's see, hopefully we'll get lucky. See all the leaves that are left on the trees, very likely now they're going to start dropping just for that last bit of winter. And then hopefully we'll have our very last cold snap. And then we've started already making bets about when the rain is coming. So some of it are more skeptical than others. I do think we are going to get a bit of rain. But we'll see. I could very well be proven wrong. And then who could handle them? Hi Larissa, you would like to know if I like birds, reptiles and insects. I like them all. I would say my favorites are mammals and trees. But I do also enjoy birds. I have a bit of a relationship with some of the insects. I think that the dung beetles are by far the coolest little insects that there are out there. And the reptiles, I'm not too sure about. But overall, I like them all. Are we supposed to go there? Thank you. Alrighty. Alright. It is always a bit nerve-wracking driving on a property and not knowing where you're going. But Dave, if we get lost, this one's on you. Alright, seems like it's a bit more open over here. Hopefully that's going to make it a bit easier for us to try and spot that lion that is apparently sleeping somewhere. But it is very easy often to find rocks that look like lions. I mean, look at this stump over here to our left. You could very easily think that it says lion sleeping on the shade of the marula. But unfortunately, this one is not. Don't know if I'm going here. Straight ahead. Straight ahead we go. Hi Don, you would like to have an update on Shadow and her cub. Unfortunately, I've got none. I have heard reports that someone saw the cub not too long ago, but I am not too sure and I can't confirm or deny if the cub has been seen. I personally have never seen it, so I'm not sure if it's even real. But I'm just joking. I have seen the photos of the tiny little cub and they have made me very jealous. I think that is an open area. Roger, you would like to know if we have similar guiding experiences in Venezuela, or in South America, sorry. I think we do. We have a few just around the continent. I think the most famous ones at the moment are Antarctica for the emperor penguins. So a lot of people take you down all the way there to see the penguins, which are, I'm told, about a meter tall, very, very tall. In some areas in between Chile and Argentina, I believe that there are tours to go see mountain lions, as we call them, which you might also have heard of as a puma. I don't know why we call them lions, but then we also call the jaguars tigers in Spanish for whatever, just to make it simple for everyone. And then, well, I'm sure you've heard of the Pantanal in Brazil, where a lot of people go to see lots of different species of monkeys and birds, but also the very famous jaguars that are well known now for feeding on crocodiles that you find in that area. Are we lost? Okay, just checking, just checking. Some tracks around the road. Seems like we've had some antelope moving around. But we shall see. Seems like the wind is picking up a bit now. Hopefully those cubs will then just a bit later on be moving around, as well as some of the rest of the African wildlife that seems to be hiding. Ah, look. Right here on our left, we finally managed to come across an antelope. Maybe it was his tracks that we were seeing earlier on. And this is, of course, the very famous impala. So it would seem that he's looking in a certain direction. I'm not too sure if maybe he heard another impala around, or if he's maybe even potentially, hopefully we're not too far away from that lion, but he doesn't seem too bothered and he carries on. Normally we can find the males in a little group, so I also wouldn't be surprised if the rest of them are just in that direction where he's looking at. I think maybe if I just go a bit forward, you'll be able to have a better look. Oh no, now he's moving. Hi Brittany, you would like to know if I like doing bushwalks and if I have a favorite bushwalk story. I enjoy doing bushwalks very much because you get to see all the tracks and the signs and the little things that you normally just leave around, because you can't stop for every single little thing while you're on the vehicle and you're driving at a certain speed, and so you miss them. But yes, I do enjoy doing bushwalks very much. In terms of a particular bushwalk story, I don't have anyone that comes too memorable. I would say maybe the only one that I always tell people about was the one time that I was doing a bushwalk and we came across a rhino. So as we were walking in the middle of an open area, this rhino started trailing just behind the trees, being very sneaky. And he was a very well-known rhino in the area that I used to work in. We used to call him Stompy because he had a very short horn, but also a very short temper. So he wasn't really a friendly guy. So as we're walking, we stop because we can see him snorting. And then as we're busy looking at him, trying to assess where we're going, if we should retire, if you move on to another area just to let him be, all of a sudden one of the guests just went, "Achoo!" And then luckily he scared him away. So the rhino bolted to one side and me and my trucker just looked at each other like, what just happened? So I think that's my favorite story because I did not see that coming. Also, it was the middle of winter, so there shouldn't have been anything floating around in the air to make anyone sneeze. But I think that's my favorite bushwalk story because it all ended up well. There was nothing wrong with it. All right. Seems like our impala friend has left us, so we're gonna also leave him behind and carry on and see what else we can find along the road. Going back to the breeze. I don't know if I should reply. Chris just said to me from Final Control that you guys are encouraging me and saying that I'm doing okay. So thank you, everyone, because I am very nervous. So that helps me a lot.
It's just in this area.
Just in this.
Because that's the Balanites.
Okay. Okay. So the report is that there was a male lion sleeping close to this big tree over here. So it's one of the few green trees around because not too many things are eating it at the moment. So we're just going to scout around and see if we can find it. If you do see it before us, just let us know. Okay. Going that way? Okay. Seems like he's just a bit further down the road. All right. Well, this is somewhere around here. We're supposed to find this beautiful male lion, but we'll just scout around and see if we can find him. He is under a fallen tree, so that if we find a fallen tree, that might make it easier. Okay. Okay. So the report is that the lion is close to the old hyena den, which is apparently somewhere in that area over there. But it's proving a bit more difficult to find than what we thought. I don't know. I don't really know if there is a road around there. If not, we'll just get to the end of this road, and worst case scenario, we'll come back and backtrack ourselves. He should be somewhere around there. As you've seen, they're not too active, so I'm pretty sure he hasn't gone anywhere. One of the reasons why there aren't too many animals around here could be because the male lion is somewhere around here and everybody's a bit more informed of its location than what we are. So I'm sure some of the antelope in the area have probably moved up should they know that he's here. Let's just see. Hi, Cecilia. You've clearly got very good eyesight because I am wearing Jamie's hat, but I'm also wearing her shirt because I had none. So she very kindly told me that I could have hers for the drive, and who knows, maybe it even brought me a bit of good luck. So yes, Jamie's hat and Jamie's shirt. Hi Tasha. Well, the good thing is that me and Jamie have a similar size, and then I did put on her shirt, so who knows, you guys have good eyesight. The only difference, I suppose, if you would see us from the distance, is that my hair is just slightly blonder than hers. But that is about it. There is a question from Valeria. She would like to know what my most unusual sighting in the bush has been. And I'm not too sure. I would have to say that one of my most unusual sightings recently was actually mating skinks. I have never seen that before, and I got to see how the male started following the female and then eventually grabbed her and bit her and then just put it on. So it was quite distressful to watch from a distance. Also because it happened on the window ledge of the office that I currently work in. So that added to how unique the whole sighting was. But I think for now, that was by far the most unique thing that's been happening to me in terms of wildlife sightings. Alrighty. Lynn, you would like to know what my scariest sighting or situation has been on a drive. And I think the scariest one that I've ever had was once when I was driving. Normally the trackers sit there in front of us just to help us with the tracks and everything that we find. And as we were driving along, just at that time, a black mamba came from the other side and it raced itself because I think it just wanted to cross the road, and we just sort of happened to coincide in the same spot. But my poor tracker got such a fright, he ended up pretty much on the windscreen. But yeah, luckily it just was that, and then the snake went off its way with a big fright, and then we carried on ours, also feeling a bit shocked. Maybe from this side we'll get a bit of a different view and find out where this male lion is hiding. I'm just trying to scan under every possible tree and every little piece of shade just to see if maybe the lion is somewhere around here. I think the old hyena den is not too far from here. We saw it from the other side, so hopefully it'll be somewhere around there. right, there don't seem to be any tracks on the road, so maybe either somebody drove over here or he's been gone for a while. We do have some stinky lion poo on the side of the road, so I think we're on the right track. I must say, it is very beautiful in this area compared to some other places where I've worked. The amount of termite mounds that you can see as you drive along, because we've got here just up ahead on the right hand side, and there is another one just further down the road on the left hand side, and they are so big and beautiful and just, well, the perfect place for all the cats to go on top and then just have a look and scan around to see what they can, if they can spot their prey or another potential predator. Maybe I should do that. Maybe that'll help me. I am sitting on about 5 blankets because I am too small to see over the bonnet. So maybe I just need some height. Well, in the meantime, while we look at them, there are some beautiful little birds on this side, which are some of my favorite creatures out here in the bush. Don't know if, maybe if I go forward, we'll be able to see the one on the branch there. On the top, just flying there around. I think they're just proving to be a bit difficult. Some of them on the floor, but they are being camera shy. They're not cooperating. Oh, one of them is right there. Well done. 2. These little guys are called the white-crested helmet shrike, and they're always found in small groups. So it's always nice and surprising to see them. But I think we're going to leave them because they're not too interested in our presence. All right, let's, while we carry on and try to find this male lion, let's go back to Brent and see what he's got on his side.
So my search for elephants is just not working out. So I've got one more trick up my sleeve. I think we're going to head across to Arathusa and check around Red Dam, hitting all the water points today. Now it seems like something quite strange happened with our new Nest cam. A buffalo rubbed it off. Hopefully Connor will be able to fix it soon. Hello, little one. Don't run, don't run. It is, just zoom on its head for me. It's a tiny little male. Oh, cuteness. It's a young boy. Look how small his horns are. Adopting the Stern posture, the stone posture, which is one of their defense mechanisms. So if you keep still, a lot of the predators can't see you. But here we go. Off he goes. A tiny little male. I think that's the cutest little Steenbok horns I've seen in a long time. Well, it seems like the temperature maybe dropped a little bit. I think we're going to have a really spectacular sunset tonight. I think it looks like there's a big fire down to our southwest, and that always makes for great sunsets. Now, although fire can be quite dangerous and in the bush, but most of the bush, I've got a very interesting question. I'm going to get to that in a second. Now, we're talking about fire. Now, a lot of people immediately assume when I say fire, fire is bad. fire is not bad. In Africa, most of Africa is a fire climax biome. What that means is a lot of grass species only climax and grow to their full potential after a good burn and a good bit of rain. So fire is actually a very important component that shapes the African bush, and it creates very, very productive grasslands. Now, the Masai Mara and the Serengeti are some of those grasslands that are constantly managed by fire and have been managed by people for many 100,000 years with the use of fire to create grazing for their cattle, and also to create grazing to attract animals close to where they live so they can hunt them. Now, Radesh is asking a very interesting question. So what is the cat viewing like at a property like Djuma compared to the rest of the Sabi Sands, which is on the sand, or the Sabi Sands on the Sand River? Well, Radesh, the quality of viewing up here is spectacular. The one thing we do have more of in the northern Sabi Sands is lions. Now, the highest density of lions in the Sabi Sands is this northern section that Djuma's in. So, Djuma, Torchwood, Hyena Track, Djuma, Torchwood, Buffelshoek, and then of course into the Manyeleti. The Manyeleti's got massive gabbro grasslands, the northern and eastern boundary of Buffelshoek as well. So what happens is you have high numbers of buffalo, zebra, and that keeps high numbers of lions around. Now, in terms of leopard viewing, our leopard viewing is just as good, we just don't see as many different leopard. So our leopard's territories are slightly larger, which can make them a little bit harder to find sometimes. But as you can see, we don't really struggle compared to other places in the world for our cat viewing. Now, the Sabi Sands is probably the premier sort of big five destination in South Africa, and you are without too much trouble, you can normally see most of the lodges traverse, you can see the big five in one drive. But mostly you never do that because that's rushing around. You take your time, see what you can see. Afternoon, there's 2 stations with Nkoma's off Aubrey's Road. You're welcome to make your way as the third. Okay, you can see this weird airy light that the smoke is causing. I'll see if I can get you a view of some of that smoke shortly. Now, what I think, just judging by the amount of smoke and the drought we're having, I think that's a commercial burn. So you can see it up next to the sun. You can see that line of smoke in the sky there. Now, what I think they're doing is burning sugarcane way down south. Now, that's quite far away, probably south of Nelspruit, the town, and the smoke's being caught in the winds and blown in this direction. That fire is very far from us, and just the amount of smoke, because this year, because of the drought, there is no grass for the fires to burn. So it's very unlikely that we get a runaway fire this year. But while we go see what's happening at Red Dam, let's go see. It sounds like Ali's found a tiny little feathered friend.
As we continue on our mission for this male lion, we have stumbled across something that is too cute. This is the tiny little chick for one of the Senegal lapwings that live around this area. I do believe that James was looking for these species yesterday just for his competition, but oh my goodness, we've found the tiny, tiny little chicks. Probably the camera doesn't do them enough justice, so oh, there we go. You can see the parent at the back. I would say they're probably just bigger than my thumb. So tiny, tiny little chicks just following their parents around, just looking for food and moving very, very fast. We almost missed them. We actually just saw the parents, and then all of a sudden, just on the side, this little creature started moving very, very, very quickly, and that's how we caught sight of them. But they are by far the cutest little things I've seen. Well, after the lion comes. Very, very cute. They seem to be moving around all throughout here, and they are quite spread out, so I'm sure the parents are just trying to take them to different areas. They have to move a bit more because of the drought. I'm sure Brent's told you all about. There isn't enough food, so animals, and especially the young ones that are starting to be born now with the start of the summer, they're going to have to fight very hard just to be able to find enough food to be able to grow very, very strong and then eventually become adults and have chicks of their own one day. This is just so sweet. They are so small, I reckon I could put them all in my pocket, all of them. We counted 5. I'm not too sure if it was 5 or maybe 4 of them, but wow, these are by far the tiniest chicks I've seen this summer, and I'm very excited because it means that we are finally not cold anymore. Now we're gonna get to complain about being too hot, which is always better. Let's see, we're gonna try to go slightly forward, see if maybe we can get another view of them, but this might just scare them off a little bit, so just hold tight. We'll see if we can see them again. Just want to go very, very slowly so as not to disturb them. See, the parents are taking them onto safety. Oh, I see there's one of them there. Okay. Hopefully we'll be able to see them from here. Alright, so you see right to the right of that stump, there's one of the parents with the 2 tiny little, 4 of them around. Obviously they found something good to eat because they're all pecking down there. 1, 2, 3, 4. I wonder if there's a 5th one that's just, maybe I imagined it, gave them another sibling. Very, very sweet. Now, in comparison to the lion cubs, these guys will have to grow into adults much, much quicker and learn to fend from themselves a lot quicker because their lifespan is shorter, but they also don't have that much time or that much care from the parents before they're kicked out and they go off on their own. Oh, I can't believe these things are so sweet. Good. I am happy that we all then agree that these are very, very cute. All right. We are going to, however, leave them around here for a little bit. Try to go forward, just see if we get another view of the ones that are just roaming around, just because it's so funny the way they run. It's almost like they're trying to walk fast, but their feet are too small. So it's almost like a cartoon when you just see the feet moving around. Let's just give it another try, see if we can see them running like tiny little chicks. Up they go, moving around. I think it is quite funny because the parents move at a certain speed and then they stop, and then the little ones, I think they're trying to imitate the parents and then just probably do the same, but they're too short. Mia from Illinois just asked me probably a question that I'm very embarrassed to answer. She's just asked me if I can do any animal imitations. I am terrible at animal imitations, but I can try to do a rhino for you, which is the only one that I know, and that according to other people it almost sounds like the animal. So I'm going to try, but yeah, I'm sorry. Please don't make too much fun of me. So a big rhino bull will go like this. I know it is ironic, but that is how rhinos go. They also have other sorts of noises, but this is probably because I spent so much time with one, the only one that I can make. I am terrible with lions. can't even try to do a lion or a leopard roar. I wish I could, and I have practiced, but yeah, I just suck at it. But I hope that was good enough for you. All right, we're gonna carry on. I see another vehicle. Okay, we are going to quickly go have a look at what Brent has got over there. I think he was being a bit impatient and he's bit me to the race, but we'll forgive him because he gave me lion cubs. Oh, if only we had come from this angle, we might have seen him. Hello, Brent. Thank you. Now I do. We came from a different angle, so we couldn't see it. You see, we can't. I don't know what you're talking about. Okay, all right, enjoy the Elise. I'll see the big belly that's right there. Okay. Okay. He's never going to let this one die. He's always going to tell me how he found the lion. Alright, so I don't know which side might work better for us. We might try to move. But there is a male lion over there. We can see it now because we can see his big fat belly, although not as big as the ones for the other ones. And just in between the branches there, we see a bit of a mane. Now, I don't know the lions of this area too well, so if any of you guys actually manages to identify it for us, then that'll be pretty cool and very impressive, seeing we're not even seeing all of its face. But we'll see. He did choose quite an uncomfortable spot, and probably the smallest piece of shade possible. Thank you everyone for the compliments of my rhino imitation. I am very, very, very mortified that that went public, but rhinos need to be heard. Yeah, maybe one day when I'm bigger and have found more voice in me, I'll be able to do a lion. Hopefully one day talk to them, ask them why they have to sleep when we want to see their faces. Kirsten from Denmark would like to know if Ali is my real name or if it's a nickname, as everyone in South Africa seems to have a nickname. Yes and no. So my real full formal name is Alexandra, but that is very long, and normally I only get called Alexandra by my parents when I'm in a lot of trouble, which has happened once or twice before. But in my country, or in Spanish, I'm actually known, or my nickname is Ali. But for some reason, it is very hard to say it in English, or for the people that I've met here in South Africa. So it's sort of just evolved onto Ali, because I spell it A-L-E, like ale, like a beer. But no, it is my name, so now when people call me Ali, I just straight away look around. There isn't much of an interesting story, just sort of what had happened with the different languages. And now back to this big boy who still doesn't have a name because we're not too sure who he is. But hopefully, at one point, now that it's starting to be nice and cool, then he'll wake up or at least show us a part of its face. So I don't think the view from the other side is going to be that much better. All right. seems like today we've got some beautiful clouds around, so let's go over to Brent and see the pretty sunset that we're sharing all the way from South Africa today.
So it's quite interesting what we're looking at there. You can see the smoke on the bottom and the clouds up high. So what's happening, wherever that fire is, the smoke is getting high enough to get into where the winds that are moving the clouds up, and it's very high. So you can just see that. So that's a combination of smoke and cloud. Now I'm guessing this is actually a sugarcane fire. Now, as I was talking about fire being quite important in the African bush and in other areas as well, the Brazilian Pantanal is also a fire climax area. But now the biggest problem with that is that traditionally or naturally what would happen, there wouldn't have been people, or there would have been people, but there wouldn't have been the amount of people that are currently living in these areas and in the world. So a lightning strike would have generally set a fire, and it would have probably burnt 2 million, 3 million acres before it petered out. Lovely, look at that with the light shining on his horns. Don't move, big boy. How's that? We got the gap? There we go, look at that. But the one thing this is doing is creating some absolutely exquisite light. Nice big kudu bull. Now, most animals are able to escape from a fire quite easily. Occasionally, things like tortoises and stuff get burnt. But what happens normally, and in the past out here, is you would have flash fires almost. So right at the beginning of the rainy season, when everything's still dry before first rains, a bolt of lightning would ignite the bush, and then what happens is you get a very hot, very fast fire. So it burns very quickly through an area. So things like tortoises and rodents can generally get out of the way of those. All the fire burns so quickly, it passes over them without doing too much damage. Now, what have you spotted, Kudu? Oh, no, just listening. So, but now because of people, we do have to do controlled burns. And even places like the Kruger National Park will do controlled burns. And you generally will burn an area and then you'll leave it for 2 or 3 years before you burn it again. Now, before, obviously, if 1 million acres burnt, it's not a problem, the animals would have just moved. But of course now, with the amount of people there are in the world, there's only so many places they can move to. So to keep the bush as healthy as possible, controlled burns are very important in this part of the world. Okay, so we're going to head towards Red Dam. Fingers crossed for elephants. Let me just check what's happening on the Arathusa Game Drive channel. Okay, so just listening. Ooh, sounds like there could be some excitement. Okay, give me 1 second to chat quickly. Said. Oof, busy on the radio here. Afternoon stations in the west, Brent from Wild Earth, anyone copying? Just looking for an update for Safari and Dow, please. Unfortunately, we don't have Old West yet. We are in the process of getting it. Standing by. Copy. Thanks, Ryan. I've just come in. I'm heading towards Rendam. Would you like me to just keep a look on the road as I head towards that in Ndlovu? Copy. Thanks very much. Okay, so update received. Shadow was spotted and then disappeared into this very thick area here. So we're going to have a look. And apparently there's only been one elephant seen. So maybe we'll bump into that while we look for the leopard. So Arbeard's wondering how many different game drive channels are there in the northern Sabi Sands, which is where we are. Let me just turn that down a bit. There is the northern channel, which operates on Djuma. Then we've got the western channel, which is Arathusa, Elephant Plains, Sibambili. And there's another line of sight channel called Old Western, which is for talking line of sight, controlling a sighting that no one's going to. Then there's the eastern channel, and I think there's one more that I can't remember. We only really operate on two. Have a look. Now, hot, it started to cool down, the wind's picking up, so possibly Shadow might move towards Red Dam to have a drink. So let's, oh, this wind is getting quite strong all of a sudden, and I think that's the wind that's bringing those clouds and that smoke in. Now, he wasn't here this morning, but there was a fish eagle, but now let's just always make sure I always check around the corner in case there's a leopard sleeping or drinking in the corner, but there's not. Hello, hippopotamus. This hippo, a little bit happier than the one we saw earlier, as he's got some nice water about him. This wind came out of nowhere. Oh, snoozing. Well, we're going to leave the hippo, who's probably the safest from fire in the middle of the water. And still speaking about fire, Iggy would like to know, have I ever had to evacuate my home or any of the lodges I've worked in because of fire? No, I have not. So what I have done is stopped fires before they've got to lodges, and there's a very simple way to do it. What you do is, if a big fire is coming, you set a controlled back burn. So what I do is I've lit a fire, go and let it burn towards the oncoming fire, so when they meet, there's nothing more to burn. That's one of the best ways to fight fire, is, believe it or not, to fight it with fire. And of course out here we don't have big fire engines and things like that to use to fight fire. So one of the most effective things if you're in a rush when it comes to fighting fire is a gori bush. It makes a very good beater. You cut those branches off. It's also quite fire retarded, so it doesn't get burnt. So I'm just going to keep, so Shadow was seen up here but heading this direction, so we're going to keep checking very carefully around here, and while we do that, let's go see Ali and the Birmingham boy.
Seems like he decided to finally cooperate with us, and he's rolled around and taken his head off that guari bush where he was lying in. If I had to take a guess, I would assume this is one of the Birmingham boys, but again, you guys know them a bit better than me, so if you can help me out with the ID while we're looking at him, that would be great because then we know who we're looking at. He did seem to have a bit of a bite mark just on his tail. It seems like a bit of an old wound, so I don't know if that could potentially help in some of the ID or if the wound is actually a new one. And also when he rolled around there was a bit of a gash. Nothing to worry about, nothing too serious, but it could be the reason why he's decided to just take it easy and stay by his lonesome self and just enjoy a bit of peace and quiet away from all those cubs. The wind has picked up a little, so every now and again he will put up his head. So I'm hoping he'll do that for us again, because I'm sure he's just busy picking up all of the different scents and smells that there are around, potentially to find out where the rest of his pride or his group of males are. James Richard would like to know how the sunsets in South America compare to the ones in South Africa, because South Africa has got apparently the best ones. Well, funny enough, where I'm from, the savannah, the landscape and everything else looks very much like South Africa. So I would say that they are slightly similar. They're not too bad. We even have some species of acacia around. So I don't know, I suppose the best sunset is where you're feeling happy. So right now, probably South Africa has got it, but I might give you a different answer if you ask me once I'm back home. That is quite a funny sunset we're having today. I do believe Brent showed you guys the sunset. It's just been interesting how the clouds have all of a sudden pulled in and there's a lot of wind picking up. So I wonder if maybe this wind is bringing the last cold snap of the season. Might just signal that we are done with our winter days and off we go to summer. You see all those beautiful clouds there. I must say, James Richard, that this is one of the prettiest sunsets I've seen. So I think South Africa is winning for now. All those clouds are just incredible. And all the different colors and just the red starting to shine through and a bit of pink, but then we've also got that beautiful blue at the back. I don't know, I need to learn to take better photographs to be able to capture this type of moment. Debbie, you would like to know about my favorite trees. I have a few favorite trees, but unfortunately the one that is my ultimate favorite, I haven't seen it around today. Otherwise I would have shown it to you guys. And part of the reason why that is because that tree likes growing in drainage lines or in areas where there's a lot of water or in dry riverbeds, and I haven't seen too many around here. Maybe there are some, but I just haven't seen it. And my favorite tree is called the sycamore fig. The reason for it is because, well, there is a whole documentary that was made about the sycamores, and they call it the queen of trees. Because what is very interesting about this particular type of tree is that not only it's beautiful and it's got these gigantic branches and it's got like a bit of a yellowish color to it, but they produce a fruit that is pollinated by a specific fig wasp that goes in, and we're talking about something tiny minuscule because the fruit is only about this big. And then she goes in, and then they pollinate it, the fruit comes, and what is interesting is they all flower at different times of the year. So they're always producing fruit for everyone around who would want to eat it, and it's very nutritious. So by far, one of my favorite trees. There is one particular tree in the southern area of the Sabi Sand, which is, if you ask any of the rangers down there close to the, well, it is actually on the dry riverbed of the Sand River. It's incredible. It's probably 500-800 years old, and it is, I think, on Earth, that's my favorite tree. I think, without a doubt. This boy over here, on the other hand, I think he just picked whichever tree he could find so that he could lay underneath it. And it is a guarri bush, what he's lying under. And he just seems to be very placidly still looking around, not too bothered with life, probably just enjoying the breeze. Which is picking up quite a bit now. He is definitely not too bothered. Like I said, he seems to have a few injuries, but they all seem quite old. But nothing that's too worrying or nothing that he actually seems too concerned about. I am hoping he will put his head up. But while he does, why don't we just go over to Brent and spend some time with him?
Right, so I just bumped into my good friend Ryan, who said that elephant went up this way. So we're just checking, making sure he didn't duck down back into the Mauritania drainage system or little dry river system. Now, the wind's picked up, so there's quite a bit of dust around. If you see Zander's hand come in front like that, it means he's just trying to make sure you have the clearest, most sparklingly beautiful picture possible. Now, the one thing about this dust, the wind, the smoke, it is creating the most beautiful light, and I'm really hoping we catch up. Apparently it's quite a big elephant bull, and everyone knows how much I love a big Eddie bull. Okay, so we are on Chololo Road, and that is where Ryan suggested the best place to find that elephant was. Now we're hedging our bets a little bit because Ryan and Sean are looking for shadow not too far away from here. So if they find her, we might be able to nip in there. Now, we are on private land here, and Wendy's wondering, are private cars allowed to drive everywhere we drive? Not at all. Oh dear. I found the elephant, but it is not in a good place. You see him there, right on the crest of the hill. You see him there. He's moving parallel to us, heading towards the sun on the top of the hill. Okay, you know what I'm gonna do? I'm gonna turn around, get to another road. Might catch up with him there. Sorry, Wendy, I got sidetracked. The Ellie's there, but he's gonna disappear over that ridge, and I want to get to where we can see him. So, Wendy, private vehicles are not allowed to drive around here. Unless it is the private vehicle of the person who owns the property. So even if you're a guest or whatnot coming in, you drive in on the main access road to the lodge, park your car, and then from then all your exploration is in open game drive vehicles. It is part of the Greater Kruger National Park, not the Kruger. Now, of course, the Kruger you are able to drive yourself around, but in the Greater Kruger is private land, it's privately owned, but there's no fences between the national park and where we are. Now, the joy of being on private land, we're allowed to do a few things that you can't do when you just drive into the national park. We're allowed to off-road, so we can follow lions hunting through the bush, whereas if you're in the Kruger, when the lions cross the road, that's it, that's done. Unless you are in one of the private concessions. So Kruger has areas like this, it's still, again, no private vehicles allowed. It has to be one of the lodge's vehicles, where the lodges pay the national park a fixed amount a year, and then they're able to operate like we operate in the Sabi Sands. Now, the reason that only certain people are allowed to drive off-road and through the bush is because, could you imagine, I think there's about, I've even forgotten, there must be close on 5 million visitors to Kruger every year, all driving themselves around, most of them, and most people there are not safari guides, so they don't know which trees you can drive over, which soil types you can drive over, and when, and all those type of things. So that's why generally to off-road you're going to be in a private concession or on a private reserve, and even then the off-roading is regulated. You don't just off-road for anything, but also all the guides have training, heavily experienced. You know that, see for example, this area we're coming up to up ahead, now it's completely 100% fine to off-road, but if there's been even 10 mils of rain, this area becomes a bad area to drive. You will sink through, you'll stop the flow of water down the seep lines, and I mean it's quite specialist knowledge that most people won't have. So that's the reason you can't just let people drive wherever they would like. And also, if you worked at the Kruger, or if you worked here, if you let people drive wherever they'd like, we'd all spend our lives getting people unstuck. Okay, I'm hoping that we catch that elephant before he crosses our boundary. He was heading due west towards the setting sun. I'll be very happy if we succeed in this endeavor. I have been looking for elephant for quite some time. I do love this time of the year. The light's fantastic. You can see miles into the bush. Makes it much easier to spot creatures. And also, one thing that we might get very lucky with in this drought is it is in these type of conditions where you see some weird and wonderful things like pangolins, aardvarks moving around earlier. Okay, so we were just over there and that elephant was moving this way. Let's have a look. You got him. Ah, well spotted, Zander. Well, I think this is different elephants, but we'll take them. This is a breeding herd. The one I saw was just a single bull. Well spotted, Zander. Let's see if we can get a nice view. Hello, Ellies. Here we go. We're not going to go too close. Elephants can be a bit nervous in the wind. Now, Mark's wondering, do the reserves ever use drones to find animals? Not currently, Mark. We generally do it the old-fashioned way by tracking on foot, but we are looking at, for nighttime, using thermal imaging drones that fly very high to help us find animals and film lion hunts in the dark, which would be very exciting. Now they're busy eating off what looks to be, yes, it is indeed an acacia. Can actually hear the wind buffeting around. Samantha Hello and welcome on this gorgeous sunset safari. Samantha would like to know, is the African elephant the largest species of elephant? It is indeed, Samantha. I'm going to try to see if we can get us a slightly better view. And I also want to keep checking to see if that big bull is going to be coming in from that area up there. Okay, there we go. How lucky are we? We're right in the corner of the edge of our traverse. Let's have a look at the little one. Just need to call them in on the radio. Klamivendlov, just to the south of Boundary Pan. Deb in Vancouver is wondering, how scared will elephants be? Do you see that trunk there? Go back, go back. I just, no, to the, back to the little one. There. I just saw a trunk come out of the bush there. Let's see if it does it again. I didn't even know there was another elephant there. I just suddenly saw a trunk. Of course, now it's not going to do it. But sorry, Deb. Deb, it all depends on how close the fire is. I've seen elephants continue feeding while a fire blows past them. There we go, there's it, it's coming out. There's the culprit whose trunk popped out earlier. So we're going to sit here, watch these Ellies for a bit. In the meantime, let's go see how Ali's doing with the Birmingham boy.
While we're busy enjoying the sunset, it seems like he is very busy enjoying his nap. Every now and again, he opens his eyes just to let us know that he's still around and he's very much alert of what's going on around him. But he's not too interested in waking up just yet. So we've been sitting here patiently, and just for the hopes of him lifting his head. I am not too sure if anyone's been able to identify him or recognize who he is. Hopefully one of the Birmingham boys, because should it be a new male lion in the area, that could mean a bit of a unrest and unsafety for the cubs. Because as a lot of you may know, normally new male lions in the area, they, as a way of trying to get the females to mate with them and establish themselves in a particular area, they tend to kill the offspring of the previous males. However, if it's just one of them, I don't really think he would stand much chance against 3 of the 4 of the Birmingham boys. I must say, this spot is getting better by the minute. I think he was very wise and chose it well. So you see, despite the fact well, hello. Seems like somebody is raising his head, maybe smelling some of the little things around. Yes. It seems that there was nothing really too interesting or to bother him around. So he's going to carry on sleeping and just pretty much enjoying doing nothing. It is quite amazing though. I know we have spent quite a bit of time with sleeping lions today, but at night or in the mornings when you go out and look for them after a whole night, you can just appreciate how much they actually can walk in a night, sometimes covering up to 14, 15, 20 Ks, and it's quite amazing because they'll do it in a very short span of hours. Him, however, he doesn't seem too bothered with life. So what we're gonna do is we're gonna leave him here to his nap, and we're gonna go back onto the rest of the pride, see what they've been up to and what they are getting up to now. Now that the temperature has gone down a bit, there's a bit of breeze picking up, maybe they're a bit more active and playing around, and hopefully as well feeding on the carcass. So let's leave this guy here and just go have a look and see what else is happening. Now again, Dave will let me know where to go because I still have no idea where we are. I do know that we're going in that direction roughly. Okay, so at least my bearings are not too bad. Alrighty. Let's go past that wonderful tree again, that iconic Balanites that everyone talks about. All right. So we're gonna take a right. Okay, good, because we don't like driving against the sun because we can't see anything. And then we'll carry on. Jean, unfortunately, I have never seen any animal give birth. I have arrived moments after, but I've never seen the whole thing happening. The only one that I've been very, very close to has been an impala during the initial rains or the initial summer rains. But other than that, I don't know why I always miss it. And it's one of the things that I would really, really like to see. But, oh well, I suppose it just keeps me interested in looking for very, very big pregnant girls. So hopefully one day. Oh, talking about impala, here are two of them. Three. All the boys just... We're not too far from where we saw that first one just a while ago, so I am sure he found the rest of them and they've just been hanging around together. They are not too far from where that male lion is, so to me it's always interesting to see just how close they are to one another, predators and prey, constantly living in that balance of trying to spot each other before the other one does. The boys over here are quite spread out, and now that they've all mated, well, a few months ago with all the females, they will remain in these groups together until obviously the next mating season comes along, and then there are no friendships to behold. Let's carry on now and see if maybe we can get back to those cubs, hopefully doing more. Chris Brett asked if I like hyenas or honey badgers. I absolutely adore honey badgers. I was lucky enough to raise a honey badger in one of the jobs that I used to do here in the bush. Her name was Stinky because she was very stinky. But I absolutely love them. I think them and hyenas are some of the most clever creatures there are out in the bush. And I do enjoy hyenas quite a bit. I think Disney gave them a very bad reputation for nothing, but they are very smart. Having said this, I do not like them when they come into my house and eat all my stuff. That is not funny. I've had it a few times. I've lost boots like many rangers. I've lost cases of stuff. And well, the one time I had a fight with one that tried to open my window where I used to live. And then when I saw it, I just went and smacked the window and it ran away. And that night, it came back with a vengeance. So when I got back from my afternoon drive, it had gotten inside and chewed all my bread, all my camping stuff. It had vomited all over the front. It was horrible. It was horrible. So that particular hyena, I didn't like. But I'm sure you can understand why. There was a lot of bleach in my room that day. Lynn has just asked the eternal question. Which ones are cuter, lion cubs or leopard cubs? I don't know. I think it depends on their age. So the one that is younger will probably be cutest. But I can't tell. I've seen tiny little lion cubs and tiny little leopard cubs, and my heart just melts with either one of them. I am sorry, I am a girl, so I'm very susceptible to these things. But I can't answer that. I don't know. For the time being, I think I'm on Team Lion. I'm sorry. Right, lots of hair blowing into my mouth. Alrighty. Yeah, it seems like not too many animals have come along since we did this road a little while ago. But I wouldn't blame them. I mean, they are pretty much, they would be sandwiched in between a male lion and a whole pride of lions. So I wouldn't be walking around here either. You guys are asking how I got all the way from Venezuela to South Africa, and I don't know if it was fate or by accident. So my story is a funny one. So when I was 14, I read this book, and this is a very corny part of the story. I'm really sorry. I'm going left, am I not? I read a book where this girl wrote herself a letter, just asking herself a bunch of questions, and then she would close that letter, and then she would read it 10 years afterwards. So, funny enough, I was already living here, and I had already moved to Africa when I found this letter. I have a box of stuff, of memories, that's just pretty much all my junk goes into. And I found this letter, and I was like, oh, I wonder what this is. So I got it, and then the first question in that letter was, have you been to Africa yet? I showed it to my mom, and she was like, you see, I had no hope. You were going to go anyway. So when I initially decided to come, I was about 22, and I was working in the local municipality in the Citizens Advice Bureau. Sounds very big, but it was very boring. And I didn't particularly like it. So I heard about this thing about coming to volunteer in Africa in a wildlife rehabilitation center. So I decided to try it out and then just leave it behind. I was also not in a very good place emotionally back then, lots of things going on. So I was like, you know what, this is what I need. I'm just gonna go to Africa, which I did. My boss from back then to this day, he still looks at me and he was like, you ditched me for lions, how could you? I'm like, they're lions, come on. But so I came here, and I was only supposed to be here for about 3 months. And again, like when they handed me off that baby rhino, and I saw that this country offers everyone the opportunity to be involved somehow in the guiding industry or anything else, I just couldn't go back. I just had to stay here. Oh, well, hello, somebody's letting us through. Okay, sorry. Hello, how are you? All right. So yes, I was here for about 3 weeks before I phoned home and I said, I'm never going back. I think the word my mom used on the phone that the whole of Africa probably heard, she just told me I was demented. But then she came here and now she loves it just as much as I do. So that is pretty much how it happened. And then I was working in this rehabilitation center, and I convinced the owner that he needed to give me a job. He just had to because I was going to do a good job. I still don't know how I pulled that one off. But I ended up working there for about a year before I left and then joined the field guiding program in one of the lodges. And that's pretty much how I stayed here. I did try to go back to the real world at one point, and I went and studied and did my master's in conservation for a year in the UK, wanted to see how living closer to home would be and everything else. And the minute I finished that master's, I came back running to the bush. I just couldn't do a city anymore. It's too noisy, too much traffic. I prefer this type of thing. So that's pretty much how I got here. It wasn't very articulate, but life has a way of, you know, doing things certain times. Okay, don't think this is where we went in, or was it? I think it was further down the road. Sorry, we're just starting to find the chew track that's going to lead us back, but I have a feeling it was a bit further down the road, if I'm not mistaken. Lots of tracks around here. No, I think it was over here. Yes, here it is indeed. Let me just do this quickly. And there we go. Let's see what they've been up to, if the vehicle cooperates with me. All right. Okay, there is a big hole here. It's not my driving skills. It's just unavoidable. All right. Always a bit of effort before getting to our final reward. We are slowly approaching. Okay, well, it seems like at least one of them is a bit more active. I'm not too sure how we're going to get around. I think what we're going to do is just go around here. I think it's going to be the easiest way to have a look at what's happening. Hello. All right. I apologize for the complication. But there we go. It seems like the wait paid off. And maybe 1, 2, 3, 4 of the cubs are now busy feeding on the carcass. And one of them slowly going back to mom. So these tiny little ones, they will still, we saw them earlier, they were still suckling, still getting milk from their mothers. But when they're about maybe 2, 3 months old, and they also get introduced to meat, because now they need to grow a lot quicker and a lot stronger, so they need to supplement their diet, which is what they're doing now, to eventually be weaned off the milk. They won't have any more milk when they're maybe about 6, 8 months old, and they'll just eat meat. And by the eagerness that they're feeding with, I don't really think it's a problem for them. They seem pretty excited. All right, so you can see from here that they've just eaten the back part of the buffalo. So that thing in the middle there, that is the stomach content of the buffalo. They've dragged it out. And probably what the males did was feed on the softer parts first. So they will go and feed on the organs that are a bit softer than the meat that's attached to the bones or the skin and so on. So they will normally start with what's soft, the rump, the back, the cheeks, and then they'll carry on. Oh, look at them fighting. such a bad temper for such a little creature? You see, from a very young age, they learn that they need to fight for their food. Even if they are social cats, when it comes to food, they don't like sharing. And I am sure you can hear all the little ones just growling at each other because they all want to get onto that same part and feed off of it. What is interesting is this is the miniature version of exactly of how they're going to be. Oh, look at that. I must say, this is the most fierce battle I've ever seen between cubs for food. They are behaving exactly like big male lions would do, or adult lionesses, just fighting for their food and trying to ward each other off from that particular piece of meat that they're eating. Look at all that growling. It is incredible and kind of funny sometimes. You see those two that are busy fighting. They are so adamant that they both want to feed from that spot. Yet there is a whole buffalo to share. But I guess it's a case of they just really want that one piece that its sibling is having because that's the tasty one. We're not too different in between species, I don't think. I think this female is just getting a bit annoyed by that branch there, and she's tried to pull a few times, so maybe what they want to do is actually move or expose a bit more of other parts of the buffalo to be able to feed on other parts. Let's see if she helps them around, or if she's going to be the big boss and tell them off. That's a vocalization by the cubs. They're making a lot of noises, probably just trying to get all the females to move around, or just showing that they're not happy about the situation. Ah, here's a little troublemaker. We're gonna let these little guys here settle their dispute and see who wins, but in the meantime, let's go back to Brent and see what he can show us.
The light is just so fantastic at the moment that I'm feeling like climbing. And I'm going to try and get you a lovely view of the sunset. Oh, look at that. That's so gorgeous. So gorgeous. I just had to make a bit of extra dust for ambience. Here we go. Look at that. Isn't that beautiful? Isn't that absolutely exquisite? Another beautiful end to the African evening. And I told you, it was so beautiful I had to climb the biggest termite mound on the whole of Arathusa and Djuma. And it happens to be right near where the sun is setting. Isn't this just absolutely exquisite? I'm on top of the world, literally. Well, we're not very high here. We are in the Lowveld. But just look at that. I can just make out the Drakensberg Mountains in the haze. What a splendid evening it is to be out on a live African safari. Now, descent, it always seems to be a problem for me. And I think I was going to try surf this one. Maybe not. Maybe I'll just come down like a sensible human. Or not. There we go. Now, this is the biggest termite mound that I've seen on Djuma and Arathusa. The only place that's got bigger termite mounds is Cheetah Plains. So unfortunately, it seems like they haven't been able to find Shadow. She's living up to her name and disappearing into the shadows. Maybe on tomorrow's sunrise safari, we'll have a little bit more luck. It's just the light is gorgeous from this smoke. Abed says Brent of the Bushveld. Well, strange enough, while I was at school, after having a school in the bush and having to go to normal school, my nickname quickly became Mowgli or Tarzan most of the time. So that's what my 5 years at high school I was known as, mostly Mowgli. Wasn't quite buff enough to be Tarzan. We're going to start slowly heading back towards Djuma. Ali is with the Nkuhumas and on that buffalo carcass. And I'm wondering, I actually saw the tracks and I'm hoping that that third male might get up and start moving towards the rest of the pride. Now, I haven't seen all four Birminghams together for a long time. And I'd be really excited if tomorrow on the sunrise safari, all four were present. We've got 3 accounted for, and we had 3 the other morning. And I haven't heard, actually I might ask the guys in the West Champ if the other Birmingham's not with the Styx Pride down to the west of Cheetah Plains. Now, well, as fun as it is driving around with myself and Zander, who am I to deny you gorgeous sunset coupled with Africa's biggest cat?
James, you were asking earlier if the sunsets in South Africa are the prettiest ones, or actually I think you were telling me that, and by the looks of this, I think you are absolutely right. This is an incredible sunset with Africa's biggest cats just putting on a show for us. The cubs eating, fighting with each other. One of the females there just keeping an eye out, making sure that they don't get a bit too hectic. It's, yes, I think this sunset just won by like 1,000 brownie points, no doubt. They've come and they feed and they fight a little bit just to remind each other that they're there, and then off they go. And it did seem a bit earlier on that the female wanted to come and feed, but maybe she's just letting her motherly instinct kick in. She does seem to be very full herself, so she's just probably just letting the cubs have a bit of a feed before she goes and has a bit herself. Four cubs feeding, but I'm pretty sure they're all around here. Then we've got one of the cheeky ones from the back, which I think was the one fighting earlier on, just approaching. Let's see if he tries to go in and tries to feed a bit more. Ah, look at that wind. The wind is picking up here quite a bit, as you can see now, with all the branches of the trees moving and all the dust flying around. I do wonder if this is going to bring the next cold, hopefully the last cold front of the season. Do you see, the wind normally makes animals very nervous. The 3 lionesses have got their heads up now, just smelling around, seeing what's happening. As obviously the wind can mask the sound and the smell of any other approaching animals. Oh, she's calling. It's hard to hear. There's a little brave one walking away. Gracie, age 9, wants to know why lion cubs fight with their moms for food. I would say that it's not a particular thing against their moms. Lions in general just fight for food. They are fighting with each other. They're not fighting and starts feeding herself. But having said this, I have seen them before where the mothers just come in and then just tell the cubs that they've had enough, and then they get in and then they start feeding. Look at that tiny cute little face. You see, the wind makes them also a bit nervous, so they probably won't go too far away from the adults just to keep safe. Talking about that, there's a female that she's got her head right in there, probably looking for more meat. Because they haven't taken the skin of this buffalo yet. Oh, there she is. Maybe she's trying to do just that. And just access the other points of meat. Sure, you can see the leaves at the back moving around. Lots of wind that has just picked up, and the sky is all of a sudden covered in clouds. So I wonder what this means for us. It seems that a dust storm has just caught Brent. So let's go over there and see what that feels like.
This is really uncommon weather for this part of the world. I'm going to try to get onto Impala Plains to show it to you, but I'm battling to see. And you can just see how the colors changed. I mean, look towards the sun. There's just this wall of dust. I mean, I turned around as I got off that termite mound, and I thought, is that rain? And I was like, it can't be rain. I literally have a coating of sand across my eyes at the moment. I'm just going to try and get to Impala Plains. You can just see. Yeah, look at that. Oh no, close your eyes. Oh. Now I have dust in my teeth as well. Crunch, crunch. Okay, one squall passed. Let's try and get past the next one. Let me just get a bit. Oh, here comes the next one. I have to put my. But look at this. Isn't that crazy? Look at that. That's all dust. It's a wall of dust coming towards us. You can see what it's doing. It's turning the sky an incredible color where the sun's setting. But I can tell you what, it's quite incredibly unpleasant sitting in it. No, my hat's going to go off. I need goggles. I feel like I'm in Mad Max. Hopefully, if we get to that male lion, all he needs to do is lift his head in this wind, and we'll get that wonderful windswept. But speaking about lions, I think this dust storm is about to hit Ali, so let's go have a look.
It seems that Brent has got the worst of the dust storm going around. We are still fairly protected by the bush and the termite mounds around us. And although the wind is visibly picking up, we're still not in the middle of the dust storm with dust up our teeth like he said he was. We are still just enjoying this very beautiful sunset that Africa is giving us today with the lions feeding on a buffalo. The female has now started feeding as well, and she's let some of the cubs move away, and some of them are still tugging in there just because they are too greedy to let go. Because if you look at their stomachs, they are looking pretty full. Although they do have to grow up to be super lions, so they probably need all the meat that they can get. Kevin, you are wondering if the white lions of the Timbavati are a myth. Yes and no. So the white lions are just like normal lions. They're not a different species. They just have a recessive gene that makes them look a lot lighter in color. They can mate and live in prides with the tawny-colored lions that we're looking at, but they are very, very rare. So I'm not entirely sure of the dates, but I do know that up to the 1980s or so, I could be wrong, they were thought to be extinct in the wild. And because they were thought to be extinct in the wild, but they still have some of them in captivity, what they started doing was releasing them back in the Timbavati, which is another big game reserve that's adjoining Kruger National Park. So I know that at the moment there is a pride of lions. If I'm not mistaken, it's called the Russ Pride of Lions that has got a few individuals that are white. They have been mixing with some other lions in Kruger, and there's another big pride of lions close to the Labambo Mountains that has also got a few individuals that are white. So they are not a myth. They used to occur in this area. However, probably because of the color of their skin, they were more favored by hunters in certain areas, because in the Timbavati you can still go for trophy hunting. So I'm not too sure what is the reason that drove them to extinction, or in the wild at least, but they are not a myth. They are real. They're just busy starting to reintroduce them now into the wild. Very rare. Haven't seen one, but hopefully one day. In the meantime, these tawny lions that we are looking at are busy putting up a fight. So the two cubs that are still there definitely don't want to share. I wonder if they have eaten most of what's left of the backside of the buffalo, because they're being very, very aggressive about it. But what is interesting though is the one female is here, so she is obviously waiting, and she's gonna start feeding soon. And oh, you can hear them fighting still. And the other one at the back is probably just also waiting to go in there and then just try, I'm sure they're going to try to move the carcass and just get underneath where they still haven't been able to feed off. And there's another lioness at the back that we're looking at. There was another question earlier on about how lions get the blood and everything off their faces after they've eaten. Well, this is one of the ways they do it. They lick their paws and then they'll put them through their heads and they'll start almost like combing their faces with their clean paws. Sometimes they also do this because obviously in this area where they walk there are a lot of thorns, a lot of spines, yes, little things that they need to try and get out, which is what I think she's doing now. And she's just trying to take whatever it is that is in between her toes or her pads and her toes, just trying to get it out of there because it's probably just uncomfortable. So you see, there she goes, getting very irritated, trying to take it out. Gives you a whole different meaning of being in each other's faces with this lion cub just pretty much almost sitting on top of the mom. Let's head over to Brent, who has got another lion of his own, and see what this one over there is up to.
So there we go. If you're ever wondering how a lion gets its perm, there we go. He waits for days like this and he sits facing the wind and lets the wind blow through his glorious mane. And then, of course, hair products will be all the dust that gets stuck in it to keep it nice and fluffy. It is beautiful. Now, if you look at his nose, oh, look at those eyes, all the scars on his nose. Now, if the Nkuhumas and the Birminghams did not have that buffalo kill, this would be ideal hunting weather. Debbie, you are spot on. The dust storm is definitely a product of the drought. You can get them in normal dry seasons, they're just uncommon. But I think it's been exacerbated by the lack of grass and the strong winds we've been experiencing. Now, if we go away from the lion for a brief second and we look towards Cheetah Cut Line, so towards the east, I mean, we are losing visual of our horizon slowly as this dust rolls in. Absolutely incredible. No, you're supposed to get up when it's cool and windy. You're not supposed to go back to sleep. Well, there we go. Head in the bush. I was hoping he might get up and get moving towards the rest of the pride. Sleepy kitty. Well, it seems like the strongest gusts are over, but there seems to be a few more on their way. Now I wonder if this insanely strong winds are going to bring in weather as well. And it's going to be very interesting to see what it's like out on the Sunrise Safari. Sleepy kitty. So we've got 3 Birminghams accounted for. There's still one who could be on Djuma somewhere. I didn't hear of him being with the Styx Pride. So apparently everyone's getting incredible screenshots of the dust storm. Now, our long-time viewers, let me know, have you ever been in a dust storm before? Please let me know. Hashtag Safari Live, questions@wildearth.tv on email. Have you ever experienced weather like this before while you've been watching Safari Live? It's definitely a first for me in the year and a half that I've been with Safari Live. And I'm trying to remember, I don't think I've had it in the Eastern Kruger before, but never in the Sabi Sands. Not to say it hasn't happened, I just might not have been around. And the temperatures dropped quite rapidly as well. So we're going to sit here, see if this big lazy Birmingham decides to do anything. While we do that, let's go back to Ali and the Nkuhumas.
We are still busy with the Nkuhuma Pride of Lions and 4 of their cubs busy feeding on the carcass right now. Well, actually, I think it might just be 2 of them feeding and 1 of them moving around, because the 3 of them are just in between the 2 females that you guys can see right just to the left-hand side. It seems, however, that the cubs have stopped feeding as the females have now moved a bit closer to the carcass. That one that's just at the back, she was lying down, she was busy grooming herself, and slowly but surely she's starting to come this way, which is not making that female to the left too happy. Every now and again she'll start growling, so I'm sure it's to prevent the other females from coming and trying to feed off that particular part of the carcass for the time being. I think maybe what they've done is the cubs came in and they fed first, and now that they're done, well, it seems that the adults want to come in and have their share of the meat. She is busy hiding her whole head on what's left of the back of the buffalo, and I think she's now telling off that cub that I think you can just see the back, probably just telling it that it's had enough, it's their turn now. It seems like the one cub is still at the back, still trying its luck with whatever's left on the other side. You can just see it through the gap there, in between the bones of the pelvis of the buffalo. Oh, there he goes. There's a tiny little head there. On top of Mom, as usual. And off it goes. You see, she's got a nice big chunky part that she's trying to pull. So she's just got to be slightly careful. I have seen lion cubs before, unfortunately. When they try to feed on certain areas in between the bones, the one got its head stuck in between the bones and then couldn't get it out. We felt sorry for it. It eventually was fine, but it was very, very funny to watch how greedy it was. Look at those two playing at the back. The one just came running and fully tackled it. I'm sure they've got full bellies now, lots of energy, so they've just got to spend it somehow. Look at that hug. Bernard, you would like to know if they will finish this whole buffalo. The case is normally so whenever a big pride of lions like this one brings down a buffalo, they will finish it in maybe 1 or 2 days' time, depending on how big the pride is. I would assume that they'll be here tomorrow morning, could possibly even be here tomorrow afternoon, but they will surely finish it. Just want to have a look at the cubs playing there at the back in between the branches of the trees. They've just been stalking and jumping on top of each other, just to try and see which one's stronger. Even from such a young age, playing like this plays such an important part of what they are going to become. They need to develop all of their hunting techniques, all their fighting skills and everything else, and what better way to start than with all of your siblings and cousins and relatives. Too bad that they've chosen the one spot behind the tree. Now there's a very faint sound coming from the females. They're just busy making contact calls, which is a very low call that they make just to communicate with the other pride members. So maybe she's just trying to see where the rest of the lionesses are or where the rest of the cubs are. Look at these two little troublemakers. They're being very brave and walking away from the rest of the pride. Hopefully one of them will come and say hello to us. Look at that. Still busy jumping around. I think that female is not going to tolerate a lot of nonsense from these cubs now that she's busy eating and her appetite is back. She is growling. Oh. Well, she was growling at them before she decided to tell this one or put it back in its place. I think it didn't like it. Obviously not feeling too happy about it, but as cats do, it's just playing it cool, like that didn't happen. That was its intention all along. And the one at the back is just busy having a bath from its mother. Look at those paws going up. I'm sure he's not too happy. Whoop. No food for you. You've had enough. She is obviously not too happy that the cubs want to now go and eat at exactly the same spot where she is. You see, there she goes again. Ooh. Also telling another cub that he is not welcome there anymore. my painted wolf, you would like to know how many hyenas are needed to chase the lions. It is quite a big pride of lions, and we have 2 males around here and females that are going to be very aggressive to any potential predator that comes around the area, not only because they would like to steal their kill, but also because the cubs are at risk. So I would reckon you would maybe need more than 10 hyenas, or at least some 8 very, very brave, grumpy hyenas to come around here and try to chase them off. Sometimes what could happen though is if there were just a few hyenas around and the females felt that it was unsafe for the cubs, even if they weren't too aggressive, they could potentially just prefer to leave the carcass, seeing they've eaten a lot of it, and just move off onto a safer area. But it is very hard to give an exact number on how many hyenas we would need just to chase them off the kill. It seems like the little one in front got a fright from the face of the buffalo. You see, when we first started, they were so hot, just busy panting, barely moving around, and now that we have this nice weather, it's starting to get a bit darker. The appetite is back, they all want to play, and they're just a lot more active. Can't really blame them, the weather is much nicer now. They seem to be looking just away from us, and I hear branches every now and again, and I wonder if it's just the trees or if there are potentially any elephants not too far away from here. Not too bothered for the time being. See, that female on the left, she has now started to use her paws to try and create some tension and then just pull some of the meat out and also try and get the skin away from the meat. Alright, it is getting a bit dark over here, so we don't want to spend too much time with the cubs as they're still very young, and we want to just make sure that they are safe in the company of their mothers. So for today, I am actually going to say goodbye to everyone. It was great meeting you all, and well, I hope to see you guys soon, and I hope you enjoyed the drive just as much as I did. We'll go back to Brent and see if he has managed to survive the storm and the male lion.
Look at that. We're sitting under a post-apocalyptic sky. It is absolutely incredible. I just thought we'd let you get some screenshots of that. I've already taken a few photographs. It's just too special. With that Balanites tree, my nemesis tree, one I've fallen out a few times, and with that sky behind it, the glowing embers of the sun disappearing with this massive dust and cloud rolling in. Absolutely spectacular. I think this is one of the times we're allowed to use the word that has been banned from Wild Earth and Safari Live vocabulary, but I think I'm pretty sure I can call this epic. Oh, there you go. Cecilia, does anyone have a kite to fly? Cecilia, I'm worried the kite you would take off and land in a thorn tree or on a Birmingham. So that Birmingham didn't move, so we're going to keep moving back towards camp. Now, I've purposely chosen this route, so I'm driving with the wind coming from behind me so I don't get all the sand in my eyes, which obviously doesn't make a difference because every time I turn around to talk to you. No, it's dialed down a little bit. Oh, just one more. Look at that. Oh, so pretty. Hi, Teresa. Teresa's wondering who is leaving. She says a new person on trial means someone's leaving. No one is leaving, Teresa. Don't worry. No one is going anywhere. We are expanding. So exciting things coming up in the future. Oh, elephants have been naughty. Let me help them. Just move that off the road. Well, move it off enough that we can drive round. Now, what an exciting sunset safari it's been. I was very happy I found my elephants. That mating pair of leopards has been found to the north of our boundary. They must have snuck across during the day. And of course, you had that wonderful Nkahuma cub sighting with Ali. And I can't wait to see the screenshots of the lions, the kill, and that sky. I think they're going to be spectacular. I'm a little jealous. I wasn't there with my camera. But very happy that Ali had such a great first drive. And it is always wonderful when we have new weather, even though it is a dust storm. It's quite exciting, something different. But hopefully it'll be gone by the morning. Enough. Last sort of 45 minutes, if you look at our lights on the side as I drive, you can just see the dust. That's how fast the wind is. It's actually going faster than I'm driving. But again, thanks for all the screenshots, the tweets, the questions. It has been great hearing from you. Tomorrow morning will, of course, be Commander Bond, James Henry, and myself out and about on Djuma, Arathusa, and Cheetah Plains, seeing what we can find. Pretty sure the Nkahuma Pride are going to still be around that carcass. They might meander down to Sydney's waterhole for an evening drink, but I'm sure they'll be back at the carcass during the day or during the drive on tomorrow's sunrise safari. I think I'm going to look for leopards. That's what I'm going to do tomorrow. Oh, Vernie, very clever Vernie. Vernie is spot on. This, you cannot get better. If you're a predator hunting, strong wind, dust, and clouds coming in to make the sky dark, this is perfect predator hunting weather. So hopefully we can find Queen Karula on a kill on the sunrise safari. I'm hoping it's decided to stop being so so windy by the time morning comes. But as I said, fantastic afternoon out here. I do love being out on the bush every day and love being able to take you with. So it has been very exciting, and thanks for being so nice to Ali. She's a good girl. And Zanda and myself, we're very happy we found our elephants. Elephants, lions, the zebras, actually, we saw the zebras as we started, this dust storm started coming in, and they just took off. Every single animal that's not a predator is going to be jumpy, jumpy, jumpy tonight. And their heart rate is going to be sky high. But from Zanda, myself, and the rest of the Safari Live crew, it's been another beaut of an evening, and I'm going to use the word one more time. I think it has been epic. So good night for now.